glad to be here tonight. You know, it's amazing to be able to walk into the church of God and feel His presence. And it doesn't matter if it's one or two or 100 or 1,000. His Spirit, where there's two or more gathered, His Spirit is there with us. And it's a wonderful thing to feel. You know, I've been blessed this week. I've had my cousin Jeff stay with me, and we've had some real good conversations over the last few weeks. And I've really felt his presence within those conversations. And, you know, we've had long talks. Now, the sermon, or what I'm going to talk about tonight, was given to me last Monday night while I was laying in bed. It's in Matthew 25. Starts in verse 14. Starts out, it says, "For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, and every man according to his several ability. And straightway he took his journey. Then he that received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them another 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2 had also gained another 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh, and reckoned with them. And he said, and so he that hath received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside thee them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. He also that received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Then he that which had received 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid my talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore have put my money to the exchangers. Then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore thy talent from him. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which has 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away, even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into utter darkness, where there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, if you look at chapter 25 in Matthew, it starts out with the parable of the 10 virgins, which Pastor spoke on last Sunday, where you had 5 wise, 5 foolish. And at the end of the chapter, it ends with the sheep and the goats, where he's judging the nations. For you that have fed me, that have visited me in prison, that have clothed me, enter into the kingdom. And those that didn't, you're going into outer darkness. Here, right in the middle, he puts this parable about the 5 talents. It's no mistake. If you think about it, as Pastor said last Sunday, he wants us to be filled. Our salvation, our oil, the Holy Spirit. If we're wise, we'll keep that Spirit burning. If we don't, if we're not, we'll let that fire burn out. Okay, now that we got the Spirit, what do we do with it? The Lord says here, I will give you gifts and abilities. And I want you to go out and double what you have. I want you to go out and share that joy that I'm giving you. I want you to share your gifts. I want you to share your talents. We are never supposed to just sit here and get fed and not go out and do anything. The biggest lie the devil ever put in the church is it's the pastor's job to save the lost. And I've heard that in many churches. It's not my job to go out and reach the lost. That's the pastor's job. I'm just supposed to come in here and sit on a pew. And that's wrong. We're all ministers. We all have our flocks. We come here to get fed, and we're to go out and feed the flock, feed the many.
Yes, amen.
The Lord had 12 disciples that he trained. He trained them for 2.5 years. And then he sent them out. He said, go into all Israel. Do not go into Samaria or into the land of the Gentiles. He said, but go out and preach the good news. He's telling us to do the same thing.
Amen.
We're not supposed to sit down. We come in, we learn, and then we go out and share what we learn. And then in the end, he's going to judge us. In the end of Matthew, it says so. He's going to divide the nations as the sheep and the goats. He's going to set the sheep on one side and the goats on the other. He's going to say, you who have served me, and you've done your due diligence, and you've fed the lost, you're going into heaven. And those of you that said, well, it wasn't our ministry, Lord, there you go. We all have been given gifts for a reason. We all have a personal ministry. If you look in Matthew chapter 8, 16 through 19, it talks about the parable of the candlestick. It says, no man lighteth the candle and put it under a bush, but it puts it up there for every man to see. That's our salvation, people. We're not supposed to hide it. We're supposed to let it out there and shine. And you go on further. Matthew 8, 5 through 15, the parable of the seed. He talks about sowing seed. Some fall on the wayside, which is people that won't have hardened hearts, won't even listen because they're afraid of getting saved. Then there's the rocky ground. Those that accept it. But when the cares of the world come through, they lose it. Then there's the thorny ground. You sow the seed and they accept it, but the cares and the pleasures of the world just choke it out. Then there's the good soil. And that's where it takes root and it produces fruit. Our job is to produce fruit. Don't let anyone misguide you in that. We're to produce fruit. And our fruit is through our personal ministries. Everybody's been given a ministry. Whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it ain't true. I learned that one myself. When I was growing up, my grandma and great-grandma, they strove hard. Jeff can be witness to this. Man, they planted seed in all us kids. And, I was 16 years old. I thought I was invincible. And I fell. And I walked away. Because I had rocky ground. My heart was rocky. And it was thorny, too, because, it wasn't just the hard times. It was the cares of this world and the pleasures. It's fun out there. Believe me, if sin wasn't fun, we wouldn't do it. It's fun out there. And I kept looking across the fence saying, those guys are having a lot of fun. And I go to church and I see people in they don't look like they're having much fun in there. But they're having a party out there. I think I'll just stroll over there and see what's going on. So I let the cares of this world and the hard times choke out that word. But see, the thing was, there was a little crack in that hardness. A little bit. And the seed fell in there. And over a period of time, that rocky ground disintegrated into dirt. And those thorns dried up, went away. And that seed was able to take root and flourish. So we can't judge and see what kind of ground we're planting in. It's not our job to tell what kind of ground. We're just completely out there planting seed. The Lord will take care of the seed. Because we may see someone who doesn't care, or who we think doesn't care, but yet there's a little crack there somewhere. Once that seed gets in there, maybe in a few years, it'll start to flourish. We can't tell the future. All we can do is do what the Lord tells us to do. If He says go over here and sow a little seed, you go over here and sow a little seed. See, the thing is not all of us are called to be preachers. Not all of us evangelists. We all have a personal ministry, and He says He gives to all men to their several gifts. You may not be able to preach. You may not even be able to sing. Maybe your ministry is serving coffee and speaking, talking to somebody who comes through the door. Maybe you're a greeter. Maybe outside these doors, you've got people that you come in contact with daily, and you can sow a little seed there. Now remember, there's a difference between sowing seed and thrusting something down somebody's throat. Nowhere in the Word does it say, shove it down their throat so hard that they choke on it. It says, just give them a little more. If they turn you away, you just let it go. Let God do it. God will soften their heart when it's their time. I talked about predestination last time it was up. Some of us, I don't believe in it because some of us are predestined to go to hell. I don't believe that. We have a choice to make. And it's their choice, and it's our choice to do what God tells us to. Sometimes all they need is a little nudge. Sometimes they need a kick in the pants. I can remember a couple times I was laying in bed on Sunday morning, Grandma come over, great-grandma, and they pull in and say, Jimmy, what's wrong? You ain't up. I say, well, Grandma, I don't feel like going to church today. She says, what? I says, I really don't feel like going to church today. She says, reached down there, grabbed me by the ear, pulled me right up out of the bed, says, you dressed? I tell you what, it got me to church. And if it wasn't for the fact that I had been in church, I wouldn't be where I am today. Because my home was not a Christian home. My dad was mean. My dad didn't believe in the church. My dad was raised Catholic, and I'm not saying anything about Catholics, but he wasn't practicing. He was in the military, he was a drunk. He was mean. And my mother, she was backslidden Christian. And she says, I'm not going to force you. I'm not even going to encourage you. I'm going to tell you, if you want to go, go. If you don't, stay home. My grandma and great-grandma says, you ain't got that choice with us, boy. You come with me. And I went to church. And that's why I can stand up here today. Not because I'm better, but because the Lord has dealt with me in such a way that I have a story to tell. And I'm willing to tell it. I'm not afraid to get up and talk. Some people are. Some people can get up and sing, but they can't speak. I love to sing. I was going to sing tonight, but the Lord says, no, hold off. You'll get your chance later. He says, I want you to speak this. And the funny thing about this message, it talks about going out there and spreading seed. It talks about, using your salvation and doubling it. The night before, that Sunday, Monday night, I was laying in bed. And the Lord was talking to me about this because He said, the pastor had just talked on the 10 virgins, and I know I had just spoke on the sheep and the goats not too long ago, and then Sunday night talks about because He lives. What can we do because He lives?